All right, there we go. So I just like to say hello and welcome. My name is Kirby Cook. I am a career advisor for Engineering Career Services, and I'm so glad to see that so many of our students are on this call in prep for next week's very exciting virtual career fair. So without further ado, I'm going to do a very brief introduction, and then I'm going to hand it over to our guest speaker today. So hopefully all of you are here to learn about how to write a resume that is indeed results oriented. Just to kind of give a little overview about why we're doing this. So we've got 8 career competencies that employers are looking for from students. And so when we approach topics, including the results-oriented resume, we want you all to be thinking about having, how can you show critical thinking, your sense of communication, your skills in teamwork and digital technology, leadership, work ethic, career management, and global fluency. So as you approach each step in your career development path, please keep in mind that employers really want to know about these 8 things. So without further ado, I would like to introduce Mark from Caterpillar, and I will be popping in at the end to kind of wrap things up. We've got a very brief survey that we'd like to ask everyone to fill out. As a friendly reminder, if everyone could make sure that they are muted during the presentation, so Mark has the floor. I'd also like to ask, if you're coming in now, please feel free to write your name in the chat along with your degree level, your major, and your graduation date. Okay, all right, well, thanks for coming, and yes, we're all ready to listen to Mark. Take it away.
Thanks, Kirby. Okay, as she said, my name is Mark Niemeyer. I am the engineering manager with responsibility for this facility at the Champaign Innovation Center as a site responsibility, and also lead the parallel co-op program. And then I am the lead recruiter for engineering for Caterpillar on the University of Illinois campus. So something I tell every student group that I talk to is the only dumb question is one you don't ask. Be willing to ask questions, not only today when I'm talking, but also the professors and every chance you have a chance to interact with company representatives, be willing to ask questions. I will tell you, because I've taken that mindset throughout my career, it's helped me a lot in terms of getting information I need in order to do my job well. And one thing I actually stole this slide from career services folks a few years ago, because it helps point out that the recruiting process is not a sprint. It's an endurance race. It's one way to look at it. There's several steps along the way. The first step is you need to start thinking about what things you're interested in and industries you're interested in. Then you move into preparing your resume, which we'll talk about next. But there's other steps beyond that, you know, career fairs, info sessions, ways to interact with employers, cover letters, interviews, office visits. You know, we have opportunity to visit employers, and then negotiation on offers. Like I said, we'll focus on the resume building today. In terms of preparing a resume. So with some introduction about some topics that are important from a resume building standpoint, and then what included in each, talk about the scope, the preparation, elements of resume, and some next steps, things to think about going forward. Kirby talked about some things that recruiters look for. Demonstrated leadership. What things have you done to get involved in student organizations? Are you doing more than just being a member only? And even as a freshman, you have opportunities to do that. You're probably, in order to get into Illinois, you probably were at leadership roles in high school, which at this point as a freshman, you should be showing those on there. Project management, application knowledge. How are you applying the things you learned? Work experience, not only your experience in engineering related roles, but also what other work experience you have. That's all valuable, helps show you've taken some initiative and done some other things. Developed work history, teamwork, focus. Focus is not as important for a student as it is for someone with farther along in their career. The leadership, when have you led a project? Sometimes it could be a class project. Any number of things where you've led a team or initiative. A variety of ways to demonstrate that. Those are things we look for as recruiters, and as me as a hiring manager, that's things I'm looking for. People who've taken some leadership roles.
Excuse
And
me.
as much along with that is the initiative that goes along with that.
Hey, Mark, just want to jump in here. I think that slide one, it's kind of frozen on slide one. So I don't know if you're scanning or you're going through slides, but we can only see the first one.
Yes, I'm moving through the slides, so let's try this again.
Yep, there we go. Project management. Thanks.
Okay. The project management. Have you managed the complex projects? And what's involved in that varies depending upon the project. Some projects are more complex than others. And the expectation of that we have varies depending upon where you are in school. Our expectation for what's from a freshman, for example, is less than it would be from a senior because you've had more opportunities as a senior than you have as a freshman. So keep those things in mind as you put your resume together. Work experience. Have you had a job? It doesn't have to be related to your career field. I get asked frequently, why do you care if I've worked at McDonald's or Menards or any other number of other places that aren't related to my career? Those are important experiences you gain because one, it shows you've taken initiative to go out and get a job, and you've also built a work history. You've shown that you can show up when you're supposed to, do the things you're supposed to. Those are all important experiences. And along with that, that gives you opportunities of things that you can learn from. And then in the interviewing phase, if you talk about some of your job history, even if it's non-engineering related, can be beneficial. How can you apply, or how have you applied the lessons you've learned in the classroom to something in real life? Teamwork. Are you an effective team member? Do you respect and treat others well? That's important. Most companies now, that is a very important trait, something that's a critical trait. I've been managing a group for many years. And I've had some employees over the years, some full-time folks yes, they got a lot done, but they irritate everybody that worked around them. So no one wanted to work with them anymore. They couldn't understand they got low ratings. Well, yeah, you got a lot done, but pissed off everybody that you were working with, so no one wants to work with you anymore. So teamwork is very important, and looking for ways to demonstrate that. You treat people with respect. That reminds me of something. We're doing a virtual career fair this year, so it won't be as easy to observe those things, but every year at the career fair, I see people standing in line waiting to talk to me who are rude and nasty to their fellow students. So when that person came to talk to me who was unprofessional, we'll just describe it that way, they had no chance of because okay, I'd already seen how they behaved, how they didn't respect other people, so I wasn't interested in it. Those are things we're looking for in our employees. Focus. Have you demonstrated a commitment to an industry area? As a general rule, especially underclassmen, this is not required. A grad student, potentially yes. Maybe even a senior looking for a full-time job. They really want to be in a certain area, so you want to write your resume towards that. But even a senior, you have to be careful how you do that. It may eliminate you from some opportunities that you might otherwise be interested in. Preparation. That is very important. You just don't sit down and start writing your resume. You think about what's in the job description, things you want to do. What do you want in that role? And how can you determine what ways you can best differentiate yourself from everybody else? That's the purpose of the resume, is to differentiate yourself from other people. If you don't differentiate yourself, then you don't stand a chance of getting an interview. I wouldn't say don't stand a chance, it's a lot harder. Then prioritize. That is very important. Priority, most important things at the top, and more important things on the left. There's standard formats to use. Follow those formats. The last thing you want to have in your resume when you're formatting it is where a recruiter or hiring manager has to search all over your resume to find the things they're looking for. So then that hurts your chances of getting the next step, which is an interview. Here's the elements of an effective resume. Objective and personal profile is limited value because usually it includes everything motherhood and apple pie. Or if you make it too narrow, then you eliminate yourself from opportunities. Remember, you want accomplishments, not job descriptions when you put on your resume. I'll hit that again later. Formatting, what does it look like? It doesn't have to be on resume quality paper. That's not important this year because we're doing virtual. But something going forward, hopefully at some point we're back to doing regular in-person career fairs. And one page. I stress one page for undergrads and even master's students if you're looking to get in industry. One page. If you're doing a CV because you're doing research and some other stuff as a grad student, okay, yeah, you can go more than one page, but one page. What's the difference? The CV, one way to look at it in resume is for industry. CV is more for research and academia. That's probably a very simple way to look at it in terms of how things you need to be on there. Targets what things, the resume targets what stuff you're looking for, type of roles you're looking. Then as you're thinking about putting your resume together, have an idea what type of roles you're looking for to fill, you're wanting to apply to. Make sure that your resume targets and has things on there that they're looking for in terms of qualifications. It may be only one or two, but you want at least some match there, otherwise it's going to hurt you. Duties, responsibilities, and how are you meeting those needs? What kind of skills? Okay, how do you make the connection? How do you fit? Basically, you want your resume to show it's a good fit and a good connection for that opening. If you can't make that fit or doesn't show up, then your chances of getting a interview are more remote. Professional profile for graduate student. To me, this is a waste of space because your resume should demonstrate everything that you put in that. If it doesn't demonstrate it, then why is it on there? Especially if you're applying for industry. You do not need that on there. It's a waste of space. When I see that on a resume, I see someone who hasn't done enough other things they're using to try to fill up space. So then I start questioning what the things they have on. Is this accurate? Or are they trying to stretch what they've done? Education, make it easy to find. Education should be right below your name. Where you go to school at, your degree you're pursuing, then right justified, when you plan to graduate. So you may have 2020, what's your GPA? Related coursework. The only time you put related coursework on a resume is if you're taking something very unique to your degree that less than 20 to 25% of your peers are taking. Something that's going to differentiate you. I have a degree in engineering. I know what the curriculums are like. I've been recruiting a long time. I know what the curriculums are like. Yeah, they vary slightly from university to university, but if you're an A-Beta accredited engineering program, they don't change a whole lot. So putting courses on there, unless it's very unique, does nothing for you and just uses space that you can be using to better sell yourself some other way. Experience. Remember, talking about actions and accomplishments, what the results are. Provide results. In many ways, it's the most important. What's the company, the title, the time employed? Bullets. One-line bullets. I can't stress that enough. One-line bullets. You want it easy to read. Along with that, if you can't get it something into a one-line bullet or maybe 1 1/4, then you need to separate out into something different, or maybe you need to rephrase things. The key thing to remember is clear and concise. Stress concise. We look at resumes very quickly. I come back from the career fair. I look to see who's applied. My first pass through the resumes, I may spend 15 to 20 seconds looking at the initial pile of resumes to make an initial sort through. So if it's hard to read, then you're hurting your chances. If it's really difficult to read, I don't even try. I just, okay, fine. They're not getting it. Your experience. This is a job description where they've got things here. Talk about what things they did, what the responsibilities were. That doesn't help you. It needs to be focused on what did you do? Yeah, there should be times you may have to include a description because it's a little vague on what you're doing. We need to go towards accomplishments. Towards accomplishments. Remember that you see the bright yellow thing across the bottom. Bullet points should only be 1 line. I can't stress that enough. 1 line. Maybe 1 1/4 on part of them. It makes it easier to read, which if it's easier to read and you accurately convey the information you're wanting to, then it increases your chance for getting an interview, which is what everyone is looking for, is they want an interview. Here's another case where it's a job description. That's a job descriptions. Doesn't give any accomplishments. It's been rewritten to list accomplishments, but the bullet points are a little long. Keep that in mind as you're putting together your resume. Focus on accomplishments. There's going to be times you can't do an accomplishment, but at least have some sort of accomplishment under each thing, each job position. Leadership, what's relevant? Things you've done to take a leadership role. And usually you can combine extracurricular and leadership into one if you want to do it that way, but that's the way I've seen a lot of people do it, which is acceptable. But focus on leadership. And okay, this particular case, Society of Women Engineers. They're engineering council representative and talks about the things that they did. 1 bullet's a little long, but okay. That's the only one, that's not bad. Skills, what skills do you have? And what unique skills do you have? That's the important thing. There's no value in putting Microsoft Office stuff on your skills list. If you do not know Microsoft Office, then I'm not interested in hiring you. To me, that is a requirement for everyone. See, there's no need to put it on there. I get asked this question periodically about, okay, how do I rate foreign languages? You have to be honest with yourself. Where do you see yourself at? Are you fluent in Spanish? Like this one's marked fluent in Spanish. It means you can converse easily in Spanish, and no different than if you're conversing in English. That's what, to me, fluent means. If you're not quite at that level, then maybe it's intermediate, or if you're just beginning, that's something different. But do an honest assessment of yourself.
With the languages, would you say that someone is fluent if they can't read or write in that language?
if I understood the question correctly, you're asking, you can speak but not read or write. Is that correct?
Yeah, you can communicate easily, but you can't read or write it.
Okay, then I think you just put language as fluent in Spanish. I just leave it that way. And then if you're asked about it, then explain, okay, yes, I can speak Spanish, but I can't read or write it. That would be my suggestion how you approach
Thank you.
it. You're welcome.
I was wondering, how should we differentiate between experience and leadership? Like, if we were a leader on a club that we founded ourselves, the experience or is that leadership?
If you were a leader of a club you founded yourself, I would put that under leadership.
Got it. Thank you.
Honors and awards. What honors and awards? My personal opinion is, unless you've got a very unique award, not very few people get, this is one of the areas that you cut off first when you start running out of space. Focus more on the experiences and your leadership activity than honors and awards. But that is generally my suggestion. That is something that you have to, I recommend you decide for yourself. How do you want, what approach do you want? Which one do you think adds more value to you to help you in terms of selling yourself to begin an interview? Some other tips. Make the most of limited space. You've got a page. Make the most of that page. Make the best use of it. But along with that, do not keep the font size nothing smaller than 10. If it's smaller than 10, it's very hard for people to read. I've had people bring me resumes or submit resumes with application. The font must have been 4 or 5. Even with my glasses, I couldn't read it. And I showed a couple of those. I used to keep it around because it became a point of conversation and entertainment to some of my fellow recruiters and managers to see if anyone else could read it. Yeah, they got remembered for all the wrong reasons, but I have no idea what was on the resume because I couldn't read any of it.
Actually, I have a question. Like, should we merge the leadership and experience sections together or keep them separate in your resume?
I would suggest have an experience portion and a leadership portion separately.
Okay, cool,
And
thank you.
one thing you could, I referenced earlier, but leadership and then extracurricular activities may go together, be one thing you put together if it's relating to student organizations. If it is, I see experience as more work related,
Okay.
job related, and it could be research or working for a company, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But what you do, students have the opportunity to get a lot of valuable experience in their extracurricular activities.
Okay.
Such as if you're on the Baja team or the Formula One team, you get some valuable experience on, those are just 2 examples of teams that organization getting really get some valuable experience. But to me, that falls under the leadership and extracurricular activities.
Okay, cool, thank you.
Elaborate on your experiences. Be honest, but elaborate. Try to phrase things so you should phrase things so that they sell you appropriately and highlight the things you've accomplished. Don't oversell yourself. Elaborate, expound on it to make it sound like you did more than you did, but elaborate on, make it still good, sell yourself essentially. I've talked to many people about resumes. I knew their experiences, and I thought, okay, from what you have on here does not match what I know you did. Don't sell yourself short, but at the same time, don't oversell yourself. Clear and concise. Remember that I talked about that before. Clear and concise. Make it easy to read and concise from a verbiage standpoint. Wordy's not good. Some other things, especially as underclassmen, Get involved in student organizations. Take on a leadership role, whether it be leading a committee or leading a sub-team, whatever. Participate in in-campus recruiting activities. This is recruiting / engagement activities. This is an example. Company representatives come and talk to students. This year's very unique with the virtual aspect of it, because they can't look at all of your smiling faces and see you. But then make sure and attend things where you have an opportunity to get information about the company and what the people are like, things of that nature. Then also register and handshake so you know what jobs are out there. Attend the career fairs. After you have get your resume done, I know you can have opportunities to have them reviewed by folks at Engineering Career Services. Take advantage of those if you're not sure. Okay, develop your resume. I know there's a template that Engineering Career Services has. Use the template. It makes it easier to read. It makes it easier for employers to follow. I don't know if you're having, I left this on there how to have it because I used the same presentation before, if you're doing resume reviews, employer resume reviews or not. But in the past they have, make use of that opportunity if it's available. And the name tag only applies if you're doing in-person career fairs, but something to think about when we start doing in-person events in the future.